Judges chapter 4. And I'm reading from the New Revised Standard Version. And I want to pick the story up at verse number 4. At that time, Deborah, a prophetess, wife of Lapidoth, was judging Israel. She used to sit under the palm of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in the hill country of Ephraim. And the Israelites came up to her for judgment. She sent and summoned Barak, son of Abinoam, from Kadesh in Naphtali, and said to him, "The Lord, the God of Israel, commands you, go, take position at Mount Tabor, bringing 10,000 from the tribe of Naphtali and the tribe of Zebulun. I will draw out Sisera, the general of Jabin's army, to meet you by the Wadi Kishon, with his chariots and his troops, and I will give him into your hand." Barak said to her, "If you will go with me, I will go. But if you will not go with me, I will not go." And she said, "I will surely go with you. Nevertheless, the road on which you are going will not lead to your glory, for the Lord will sell Sisera into the hand of a woman." Then Deborah got up and went with Barak to Kadesh. Is there a man in the house? Is there a man in the house? Everybody that is over the age of 18 is not necessarily a man. Manhood, I would argue, is not something that you receive simply by virtue of reaching adulthood. You can be of age to enlist in the military, go off and fight in Afghanistan, come home a decorated hero, and still not meet the standards of being a man. Being grown is not necessarily the same as being a man. Manhood is not defined by the numbers of hair on your chin, the ability to produce children, how much you can bench press, how much money is on your pay stub, the type of car you drive, how fine your woman is, how many bedrooms your home has, how many diamonds in the platinum ring you own, how much bravado you have, or how many degrees you have hanging on the wall. Manhood is not defined by Rolex, Tag, Armani, Hugo Boss, Kenneth Cole, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, or Cadillac. Manhood has something more to do than the things that we often associate with manhood. Manhood, in fact, is not even what you do when the spotlight is on and everybody is cheering because they're just glad to have brothers in the church on Sunday. But manhood has more to do with how we act when the pressure is on and your back is against the wall. There's nobody cheering you and there is no spotlight to be found. Manhood wants to know, what do you do when the rubber meets the road and nobody is there looking and nobody knows but you and God? What do you do? He was scared that she might be lying. Others said that he wanted her to go because, like the presence of Moses in battle, that she would encourage the troops when they saw her because they recognized that she was the representative of God's presence, and that if Deborah was there, then the brothers would believe and that they would fight, because obviously they would not believe in Barak. And others just say he was scared. He was just afraid, and he didn't want to go by himself. Whatever the reason and whatever the true motivation in his heart was, the truth was that Barak did not fully trust in God's word. That he received a word that he would have the victory, and yet he needed somebody else to go with him. That's what's frustrating about the story, that God calls him, but he does not believe that God's call is enough to give him what God has promised to give him. And he feels that he's got to take something extra over and above that which God had instructed him to do, because he lacks the faith necessary to do that which God has called him. If God calls you to do something, God has already given you everything that you need to accomplish that which God has called you to do. God does not call you to something and then require for you to get something extra. You don't need reinforcements. You don't need a backup plan. You don't need somebody to go and stand with you and hold your hand and pat you on the back to reassure you. God said, I'll be with you wherever you go. That if you face giants, I'll knock the giants down. If you come up against a wall, I'll bring the wall down. God said that if you meet troops that are more numerous than you, he said that even with just 300, I can defeat thousands. If they are more numerous than you, he said that even with just 300, I can defeat thousands. If there's somebody who can believe and who can stand on faith and trust that God can deliver. The reason that so few of us ever reach our full potential, I am convinced, is because we will not trust what God said. That's manhood. Trusting what God said. That's what it is. There's a book that you ought to get. It's free now. It's on the web. It's over 100 years old by a man named James Allen. It's called As a Man Thinketh. You can download it for free. I'm going to tell you, it's like in one of the first type of self-help books that's out there. But I guarantee you, brothers, it will bless your life if you pick the book up and read it. Download it, read it, because what it says is so profound, and Barack could have used it in his time of need. The author talks about the power of positive thinking. And what he ultimately says is nothing new. It's what you already know, but it's how he says it. What he says is what you spend your time thinking about the most is the reality that will be manifested around you. That if you spend your time thinking of negativity, there'll be no surprise that it's always some drama in your life. That if you spend your time thinking about lack and not having, you'll never have what you need. That if you spend your time thinking about the worst case scenario, the worst case scenario will always be your scenario. But he said the opposite is true. That if you spend your time thinking of positive things, it's the law of attraction. That when you begin focusing on the things of God just begin to come to you. That if you begin to think about it long enough, the behavior will also come along with you. That if you think that you won't make it, you won't make it. But if you think I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength, you've already made it. If you think you can't overcome it, you'll never overcome it. But if you think and believe that all things are possible for the one who believes, you'll already make it. If you think you can't move the mountain will not be moved. But if you think, if I say to the mountain, be thou removed, the mountain's got to get out of my way. If you think they're going to take you out, you'll be taken out. But if you think no weapon formed against me shall prosper, then nothing is going to prosper. If you think you're all by yourself, you'll be all by yourself. But if you think God is an ever-present help in a time of trouble, God will be